Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of SomerKnits. Welcome to episode 32 of SomerKnits podcast. This is a podcast where I share my knitting and other fiber arts occasionally, give a few opinions, and overall just discuss what I am working on, what I'm liking about various patterns and projects, and thoughts on yarn and other fiber-related pieces. If it is your first time here, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Grab a beverage and a project because I feel like I have a lot to share today. And we'll just dive right in. Let's start today with what I'm wearing. It's a little dark because the yarn is navy, but this is the Chantilly Vest by Laura of Penrose Knits. I had the pleasure of test knitting this vest, and it is not out yet, but it should be in the next week or two. It is the same collar construction as the Chantilly cardigan that I also test knit and have shared on here previously. This time, however, I did my ruffle with the fingering weight instead of the mohair, and I have a couple of thoughts on that. The fingering weight is definitely harder to block into a lovely even ruffle than the mohair is. I found the mohair very easy to get to just naturally ruffle out, very pretty. And as you can see, there's a little bit of curling on this side of my collar, so I may want to reblock that part of my ruffle. I know it's hard to see, but it is a pointed collar. It is a V-neck. The difference in the vest as opposed to the cardigan, obviously, is that it meets in the middle, which makes knitting it really fast because once you get down to the body, it is all just knit in the round in stockinette. But it does mean that you want to do something about that center point of the ruffle. And I'm intending to sew mine down, but I haven't done that yet because I've been experimenting with placement. So for now, I actually have a safety pin holding the two edges of ruffle together and pinning them down to a point where I think that they lay most naturally in the V-neck. So after wearing it for a while, seeing how things settle, eventually I will sew it down. But for now, this is how I'm dealing with that center of the ruffle because the ruffle isn't joined, it's knit back and forth. And I don't think that's giving anything away of the pattern, but you do want to make sure that you don't just have pieces sticking out here and there. So when you block it down, and then I'm going to sew mine down. And I think other people did as well. And like I said, I am going to reblock portions of the collar now that I'm wearing it where I see the ruffle sticks up or sticks out a little bit more. I knit the Chantilly vest using woolly knit British wool cone in Corvette Blue, and that's 2 strands held throughout the body along with a strand of Knitting for Olive silky merino in the colorway navy. So the edge of the ruffle is just the Corvette Blue held single, and I don't know if you can see the difference really. The ruffle's just a hair brighter than the collar and the body. The collar is 1 strand of the Knitting for Olive silk mohair and 1 strand of the Corvette Blue British wool cone. And like I said, the body is 2 strands of the fingering weight and 1 strand of the mohair. And so the body knits up very, very quickly because it is all 3 strands held together. And then the collar is a lighter weight because it is only 1 of each, and then the ruffle is just a single strand. And it's the same way in the Chantilly cardigan. Some thoughts on the yarn differences. And I may actually do a video comparing the two and talking about how I feel having done both in vastly different yarns, and also some, not really modifications, but little things you can do to improve the fit. But The British wool cone is definitely a more rustic, toothy yarn than the Filcolana Arwetta. The Arwetta is a superwash. So I feel like the collar stands up better and has more stitch memory than the cardigan that I did, which is very soft and drapey and kind of slides off my shoulders a lot. And I did do something to improve the fit on that. And like I said, I'd like to film a video about all those things, but I'll just tell you really quickly that I added some elastic and that has improved the fit of my cardigan like 100%. So if you're having trouble fitting a hand knit to your body the way you want it to, especially in the collar area, then I can highly recommend adding some elastic and experimenting with how tight do you need that elastic to be in order for the garment to sit properly on you and be comfortable. Because there's nothing worse than making a garment and feeling like you can't wear it, or it's uncomfortable, or it just doesn't look the way you want it to. And so I think little tweaks and things that you can do, like adding a tiny bit of elastic, can really make your knits just perfect. So anyway, this is intended to be not a super long vest. It's more of a, you could tuck it into high waist jeans. I'm not a tucker, so I don't tuck things. But I did make it a lot shorter than my cardigan, looking for that just below the natural waist fit. And I'll try and insert some pictures here. I may actually try and block a little bit more length into my body, but I was very careful not to add any length at all in blocking the first time, just to see how I liked the shorter fit. But we'll see. I did do it a little bit shorter than the pattern because my torso is very, very short compared to average, whatever average is. But definitely compared to Laura's, because she is long-waisted and I am short-waisted. But that is an easy adjustment to make because it is knit top down. You can just keep trying it on until it hits at the point you want it to, and then start your ribbing, or until you know it's going to hit at the point you want to once your ribbing's on there. But watch for this pattern to be released soon. And it's definitely a fun knit, super quick, like I said. I don't think it took me very long at all, and I was only knitting on it in the evenings after my kids went to bed. You do block the body before you do the collar, so you've got kind of a 1 to 2 day lag time in there, depending on where you are and how quickly things dry where you are. But absolutely wonderful pattern. So is the cardigan. If either one of those are up your alley, keep an eye on Laura of Penrose Knits. Watch her Instagram, and I am sure that there will be an announcement very soon. So that's it for finished objects. I think. No, it's not. I finished my Love Note sweater. So I had earmarked this pink merino silk for a Love Note sweater shortly after I bought it at Fiber Christmas in July this summer. And then Professor Pearl announced that she was going to have another Love Note Love knit-along, and I remembered seeing posts from that last year on Instagram. So I decided to wait and cast on with the knit-along. And I cast on October 1st when it started. And I don't remember the date I finished. I think it was October 27th. But both my Love Note and my Chantilly vest were cast on and finished in the month of October. So neither one took excessive amounts of knitting time. They both just kind of flew off the needles. And so here is my finished pink merino silk Love Note. Sorry for the wrinkles. It's been folded in my closet because I've already worn it twice. It is so soft and just perfect. So one thing about this particular Love Note, this is my 4th Love Note, and I've used the same printed pattern every time. And the first one I made was in January of 2021, and I made a size small based on the yardage that I had of what I wanted to use. So I had intended to make the medium this time, and for additional ease. And for some reason, when I got going, I thought that I had gone through and marked the numbers for the medium, forgetting that I had gone through and marked the numbers for the small the first time I'd done it. So I ended up knitting the size small, but at a looser gauge. So I still ended up with the measurements for the size medium. However, I do wish that I'd had the stitch count on the sleeves for the size medium, because they are a fitted sleeve now, because it is the stitch count for the size small. But as far as the body goes, I got the width and the length. Actually, I added additional length. And I know originally I said I was going to do a straight hem on the back. I ended up doing the curved hem because I had so much yarn left. I thought, based on my yardage, that I'd get more length out of doing the straight hem, so I wasn't going to do the curve, the short rows on the back of the Love Note. But probably because I was at the stitch count for the size small, instead of being at the stitch count for the size medium, I ended up having extra yarn. So I was like, I'll just do it. I will add that length because I know I have plenty of yardage left. I had already done the sleeves before I finished the body. So I had put the body on hold, gone back and done the sleeves. And partly that was to make sure I had enough yardage, because in my calculations and looking at the yardage requirements for the size medium, I wasn't certain. So I have yardage left over and I have a finished Love Note. But I love it, and I could have gone for slightly longer sleeves, but my goal was to have a wearable sweater for more of the year in the Oklahoma heat. And it is today a cold front, so I have long sleeves on. But yesterday it was 75, and earlier this week it was in the 80s, and it's November. So our weather fluctuates like that, but tends to stay warm for quite a while. So I think the short sleeve will be wearable for me longer throughout the year than a long sleeve would have been. I could have done elbow length, and that probably I would have had plenty and it would have been okay, but I wasn't certain, so I went for short sleeves, and I absolutely love this, and I will probably make another one next year if Professor Pearl does a third annual Love Note Love Knit Along, because why not? And maybe I'll do a second one for my daughter, because like I said, I've done 4. So I've done 2 for myself now, 1 with mohair and this one without. I did 1 for my daughter that I know I showed on the podcast when I did it, but it's just a cream colored yarn, but a hand dyed rainbow mohair on the top of it, and it's gorgeous. And then I did 1 last August as a birthday gift for a friend's toddler. So that one just whipped up in no time at all. The Love Note pattern is by Tin Can Knits. If you're not familiar with it, I think everybody in the world has heard of it by now. Well, in the knitting world. But if you're not familiar with it, it's an amazing pattern, and it has sizes all the way from tiny baby up through, I don't even remember the final measurement, but it is very size inclusive. It's a gorgeous pattern. It's so quick to knit. The lace is very easy, especially if it's like a first lace project. I think this is a great first lace sweater. You can do it without the lace, but check out Professor Pearl's podcast if you want to hear more about the knit along or see other people's love notes, or you can follow the Love Note Love 22 hashtag on Instagram, and you can see lots of love notes. I totally did that thing where I recorded a whole segment and I never hit record. So, third time's the charm, because the first time the camera actually froze. Let's do this again. My first work in progress is a Ballet Wrap cardigan for my daughter. She is 10 and has gotten back into classical ballet this year after a break because of the pandemic. And she has asked for a wrap style cardigan for a while. I don't even know if she intends that it be for ballet, But I thought it'd be really fun to make one that really was truly in that ballet theme. So I was inspired by a particular yarn and had decided on my yarns before I picked out a pattern. And I'm holding 3 yarns together. One strand of a Southern Skeins. Here, I can show them real quick. The theme that month was flamingos. So this yarn is actually called Lawn Ornament, which is really cute. And it came with contrasting minis. I have 2 skeins, or had 2 skeins of this. I've just started the second skein. Came with a contrasting mini called Feeling Beaky that had black in with the pink, but I didn't want to use anything that high contrast in this particular project, so I'm just keeping those for a later date. But I'm holding that Southern Skeins yarn with a strand of Filcolana Arwetta and a strand of Filcolana Tilia, both in the super light ballet pink. And that is giving me a fabric that is just a gorgeous shade of traditional ballet light pink, but with some interest to it. So you can see the flecks of the darker, brighter pink in there. It's just gorgeous, and it is beautifully soft and drapey. Both the Arwetta and the Southern Skeins are superwash yarns, so they are not toothy at all, and then the silk mohair is just lovely and drapey. And for a kid, I think superwash is the way to go. Obviously, this one has mohair in it, so it's going to take a little more care, but this is the back panel. This pattern that I picked does require a lot of seaming and is not normally something I would gravitate towards. I had picked my yarns, so I already had my gauge, and I was looking for a pattern to match my gauge in the aesthetic that my daughter had indicated that she wanted. And I found this free pattern by Lion Brand, and it is called the Superwash Merino Cashmere Ballet Wrap. And that is their recommended yarn for this pattern. So each piece is knit separately and then seamed. I'm not sure I actually knew that going in because I probably didn't read the pattern that well. I was just like, here's the gauge I want. Here's the look I want. Let's start. If I had really paid attention, I probably would have figured out how to convert it to the round and still get the same look. But seaming does give structure, so I'm going to try it their way for now. If I was to do it again, even if I knit the body in pieces, I would probably sew those together and pick up for the sleeves because I don't feel like seaming down the sleeve is actually necessary. But I have the back panel I showed you done, one front panel, the other front panel, one sleeve. So you can see there's a lot to put together, and the other sleeve is almost done. So as soon as the second sleeve is done, I will block all the pieces and then seam them together and then have to pick up for the belt, the long tie that makes the pretty bow on the side. I do not think that it's going to take very much yarn. I've just broken into the second skein of the Southern Skeins sock yarn, and I still have, I didn't weigh it, but I still have a bit of the Tilia there, and I still have a bit of the Arwetta there, and there's not much left to do on that sleeve. If I have to break into a third skein of Tilia and Arwetta, it won't be for very much, like maybe a little bit of the belt. But I have those, so I'm in good shape there. And I'm very excited about this project because I think she's really going to be thrilled when she opens it. I love knitting for people that I know are going to be excited about the things that I make for them. Speaking of gift knits, I'm hoping that this next one will be a very quick project. For now, it's still small enough that I can just carry it around or leave it in the car for car line knitting because it's super simple. But I am making a lap blanket for my husband's stepmom. And I made her fingerless mitts, you might remember from earlier this fall. And of course I stopped the blanket in the middle of a row. So I'm just going to get to the end real quick while I talk about it. I tried a textured stitch with this yarn, which I will show you shortly. It's been in my stash for a long time. Originally, I bought this yarn intending to make myself a lap blanket to take and leave at my office. It is just a commercial yarn. It is actually Red Heart TLC Amore. I don't even know what year I bought it. 07, 08, a long time ago. I do have a lot of old stuff in stash, and yes, I have a letting go problem. But I had 4 skeins of it that have been sitting around doing nothing. It's an easy wash, easy care yarn. And my husband's stepmom is always cold and uses a wheelchair. And I thought a lap blanket, either for use at home or in the car, might be a nice thing for her to have. And she is knit-worthy in that she always appreciates hand knit gifts. If you've been a longtime viewer, you might remember that she asked me to make her a roll brim hat last year because I had given one to her granddaughter, which I guess I'm going to go ahead and say my niece because we count her as a cousin. So I had made a roll brim hat for her, and she saw it, and she thought that might be an excellent way for her to actually be able to grip the hat and put it on and off herself. So I had made her that hat, and then I made the purple fingerless mitts to coordinate with that hat to keep her hands warm. And now I am, because her favorite color is purple, and I do try to make things people are going to like in colors they love. So I am working on, you can see I just got this started. I'm working on this lap blanket. It's all scrunched together because of the needle width. But I ended up doing a garter border and just going for a stockinette middle. So I have 10 stitches on each side for the border, and I'll have to count up how many rows I did so I can do the same amount on the other end. But I tried doing like a moss stitch in the middle, and the yarn is just too fuzzy. It doesn't show. There's not good stitch definition. So I could have done the whole blanket in garter, but part of me just doesn't feel like that's interesting enough. I know it would have been fine, and she would have loved it anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and do this stockinette center and the garter border. I'm holding 2 strands together, and I have 4 skeins, so it's not going to be super huge. It is really just going to be lap blanket size. I want it to be small enough that it doesn't interfere with any of the workings of her wheelchair, and just a little bit of warmth. It should be big enough that if she'd rather just throw it over her shoulders as a shawl, that would work. But really my intention is lap blanket. So we'll see how far I get on the 4 skeins that I have. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nice usable size, just a little rectangle. And that is going to be my Christmas present to her this year. I still love the colors, even though I don't buy as much inexpensive commercial yarn anymore. I still think, speaking sometimes eludes me, I still feel like every yarn has its place. And I may not want to use an acrylic yarn for a garment, but for a blanket that may have to be washed a number of times, there's nothing wrong with using an acrylic yarn, especially one with a nice, soft, bouncy texture. So I feel like this is an easy care gift for somebody who may not have the time or capacity to put into caring for a 100% wool item. Sorry, sudden itch. So there's nothing wrong with using an acrylic yarn if that is better for your project, better for your intended recipient. Pillow covers are another thing that I think, because I have dogs and kids and it gets messy, another thing that I think an acrylic yarn is great for. So, and you can get them in so many colors, and these days you can get some really soft, beautiful acrylics. But I'm glad to be using this out of my stash. I'm really trying to shop my stash more and use my stash, which you'll laugh about later when we get to acquisitions. But I feel like This yarn was never going to become a blanket for me to take to work because I just haven't been knitting myself blankets. But as a gift for my husband's stepmom, it's perfect, and I'm more motivated to knit it up. Real talk for just a second. I have a broken tooth, and I feel like it's affecting my speech just a little bit, and I feel like I'm spending an inordinate amount of time trying not to spit because it's affecting how I pronounce things. So if it seems like I'm struggling a little bit, that's why. And it'll be fixed and it'll be better, but for now it's just annoying. So there's that. This third work in progress is so close to getting to the point where it's going to fly. But I showed before that I had started the Cumulus by PetiteKnit, and I started it, I don't know, a couple episodes ago, and it's just kind of been on the back burner, a little bit of attention here and there, but it was in my Make 9 for this year, and it's been in my queue for a very long time. And on the very next round, or row, is when it will be joined into the round and actually start as one piece. So it's been back and forth this whole time. And I will be moving into the round on the very next row. So I actually finished the last flat row in Carline yesterday waiting for my kids, and it is time now to knit back across, cast on the extra stitches for the center of the V, and start motoring around in the round. I am loving knitting on this because it is so soft and silky. The yarn I am using is a Knit Pics yarn in a gorgeous blue. Like, this is my ideal blue, I think. I love this color. But the gloss lace is merino silk, I believe. I'll look that up. But I'm holding 2 strands of that together, so there's no mohair in my Cumulus. And it's not the t-shirt version I'm doing. It's the actual blouse, sweater, whatever that one's called. The longer sleeves that is, I think, supposed to be 2 strands of mohair. But mine is 2 strands of this silk blend lace weight. And it is going to feel so good. And I really think it's going to be a color that complements me well. I'm wearing colors I don't normally wear today. I mean, the navy I wear. Navy is one of my neutrals, but I do not usually wear this darker brown next to my face. Every once in a while. But this is definitely much more of a complementary color for me than the brown. I think in the future, I am going to pair this particular vest with more like a white or a light gray, or something under it, and I just need to find those particular shirts and figure that out. I don't have a lot of vests, so the styling is kind of new and different to me. The Cumulus blouse I'm very much looking forward to as a top for work. And yes, it'll be kind of sheer, so it'll have to have a tank under it, but I have one in a cobalt blue, and I think it's going to be perfect with a pencil skirt or nice ponte pants. Like, I'm very much looking forward to having this particular piece in my wardrobe. And that is the Cumulus by PetiteKnit. I don't even know how long ago I queued that. 2-3 years at least, and I put it in my Make 9 for this year because I might have even had it in my Make 9 last year and not gotten to it. But I really wanted to get it done. I bought the yarn either last Christmas or the Christmas before during the sale, and I've had it just waiting to be knit up. So very much looking forward to that as a finished object, but enjoying the process and not necessarily rushing it. I am trying to put some of those gift knits first, so it gets attention, but not all of the attention. Last for works in progress, but certainly not least, and definitely longest on the needles, is my Saglan sweater. I am doing the ribbing on the first sleeve, After that sleeve is done, I am going to pick up and do the collar, and then I will do the second sleeve. And I'm doing that so that I can try it on with the first completed sleeve and make sure the sleeve actually sits where I want it to. So I'm going to put the collar on to make sure that it stays in place. I am going to do the crew neck, which is a folded collar. So I will pick up and knit the ribbing and then fold it in. And I think I'm going to try knitting it down instead of sewing it down. But we'll see. It depends on how it fits, how I feel. I don't know. Whether or not I want to try something new. The ribbing on these particular sleeves is long. It is a 4-inch ribbing. So as you can see, I still have a ways to go on the ribbing. But the ribbing is on size 4 needles, or at least mine is, because I had to go down a needle size. So working through that, it is still the softest, lightest, fluffiest thing. If you've been here for past episodes, this is my first full Nutiden project. I am knitting this particular sweater, which is a pre-knit, and I think it's supposed to be released soon, but I do not recollect the release date. I don't think she gave us a firm release date, just a general idea, but it's a pre-knit for AilbÍona McLochlainn, and yes, my hair is all in my face today. So I am holding this light gray Nutiden with this cream colored suri alpaca, and those two together are making this delightful light silvery gray that I am in love with and I think is going to absolutely be a wardrobe staple. It is so light and so fluffy. I have multiple other colors of Nutiden that I have purchased, and I told myself that I didn't need any more until I had knit up what I had. And then in the last shop update, they had 2 colors that I just couldn't resist. So yes, I bought them because I couldn't help it. So in putting together my Make 9 for next year, which I have been working on and I will definitely do a video about, I considered the amount of Nutiden that I have been buying. And the first next Nutiden project that I want to do after I complete the Saglan is the Tulip sweater by Melody Hoffman, I believe. And I just love it. I just think it's gorgeous. Everyone who's knit one, I have thought it was beautiful. It looks like it fits so nicely. I love the scalloped hem at the bottom. And I showed before the pink Nutiden and the begonia pink Filcolana Tilia that I'm going to hold together to do that. I'm very excited about that sweater. I have been so inspired by putting together my Make 9 for next year that I'm having a very hard time holding off on casting those things on. But I know I want to get through my gift knitting and finishing a few things that were on this year's Make 9 before I cast any of those on. If you're just super curious and you can't wait for the video to come out, I have made a Ravelry bundle of the patterns I'm considering for my Make 9 for 2023. So feel free to have a sneak peek over there if you want to. I know that I haven't been prioritizing this because there have been so many other things to knit, but I would like to get the cuff finished and start on the collar this weekend. I think that that is a nice goal to have. And since I'm only working on my daughter's cardigan when she is asleep or not here, I think that this will be my Saturday morning knitting when I have my coffee and watch my podcast that I like to watch, just to make more progress on this. And I will be keeping the blanket gift knit in the car for car knitting because it is so easy. And for when I'm sitting in car line to pick up the kids and all those other things, just because the garter and the stockinette is so super easy and doesn't require looking or thinking or anything else. The Nutiden does require a little more looking and thinking because otherwise I end up pulling it apart because I'm not paying attention to how I'm pulling it off the skein or plate as they call them with the unspun yarns like Nutiden, and now the names, they've all run away. Plutalope, any of those unspun yarns, they come apart very easily. So I do have to pay a bit more attention when I'm knitting on that. But I'm very excited about that sweater, especially since the temperature dropped overnight and it is now 40 degrees here, as opposed to the 75 it was yesterday or the 80 degrees it was on Wednesday, which was a little much for November, even for Oklahoma. Very excited about some cool, maybe sweater weather coming in right now. That is it for works in progress for this episode. My elf mail actually has had a little bit of progress, but I've shown that so many times that I'm going to wait until there's a more significant amount of change or until I get to the bottom ribbing or something. Real quick, before I get into acquisitions, in case that's not your thing, I just wanted to mention my Christmas and holiday card. I don't really want to call it an exchange because you don't have to send me one back. I think last year I just called it Holiday Joy, and that's what I'm going to call it again this year. If you would like a Christmas or holiday card from me, no matter where you live in the world, there is a Google form down below in the show description, and you can fill that Google form out with your name and address and what holiday you celebrate, and I will send you a card because everybody likes to get a little bit of joy in the mail, right? Maybe you get tons of Christmas cards every year, or maybe you only get a couple. It doesn't matter. I would like to send joy out into the world this holiday season, and I would like to send you a card. It's nothing big. It's just a little bit of fun. And every once in a while, I do randomly draw from the names and send out a surprise package. And we'll see with shipping the way it is right now, how economically feasible that is this year. But I'd like to do at least a couple. So I posted on Instagram a few weeks ago. I've already started collecting names, but I'm going to continue to collect names, and I will start sending holiday cards out fairly soon. That doesn't mean I'm going to cut off the signups, but I am going to start sending them out because, especially those international addresses, shipping can take a little while, even for just a card. So I do want to start fairly soon on addressing and sending holiday cards. So if you would like a holiday card from me, please sign up below. There is a place where if you do want my address and would like to send one back, you can put in your email and I will email you my address so that you don't have to wait on the card I'm sending you to get there to have a return address. So that's just a little bit about the Holiday Joy card swap program, whatever you want to call it. This is my second year to do it, and I don't even remember how many cards I sent out last year, but it was so lovely to send them out and to hear from you guys in the comments or in return cards and things, what you're working on, what you love about the holiday season. It was just so much fun to share some joy. So I would like to do that again. And that is open now for you to sign up for. So click the show notes and click the Google form and fill that out if you would like to receive a holiday card. I do have a few acquisitions. Not a bunch. Actually, I have one more finished object. If you count it as a finished object. I don't know how to describe it. Let's find it. This is the first hank of yarn that I have actually spun from 2 different fiber sources and plied together and made enough for a whole project. Like, I tend to get bored spinning one thing, so I have a tendency to start and stop and switch fibers and do other things. But I spun a 4-ounce bag of, if you can see the blue color in there, it's called Admiral Blue, and it's a merino that had primarily blue, but lots of little flecks of red and purple and other little bits of color in there, maybe a little bit of green and stuff. But the name of the colorway was Admiral Blue. And then I spun a solid gray merino that I think might have had a tiny bit of silk in it. But I plied them together and washed them, dried them. I didn't thwack them on a counter, but I did more of the, if you're a spinner, instead of thwacking, I did snapping to set the twist. And now I was leaving it as a hank to show on here, but now I'm going to cake it up and I want to make my husband a hat because I feel like there's something special about my first full-size hank of hand spun that I've done this way, and I would really like to make him. I picked the gray to go with the Admiral Blue with him in mind, and I would really like to knit him a hat. And I either want it to be a double brim or one that is deep enough that you fold the brim. I don't want it to be an overly complicated stitch pattern because it's already a busy yarn, but if you have recommendations, I believe that I'm getting a sport to DK on most of this. I know there's some thick, thin areas. It's not a perfect spin, but sport to DK, I weighed it. It's like 107 grams or 104 grams. I haven't figured out like the wraps per inch or anything to like, because it is kind of thick and thin. I'm not sure how accurate that would be, but anyway, pattern recommendations appreciated. I'm just really excited to have stuck with it and finished it because I do get excited to try other fibers and tend to stop with little bits. So I have lots of bobbins resting. I just need to spin up enough of one thing to actually do something with it. My first acquisition is my October Southern Skeins not sock box is what I chose. And I know it doesn't come in a box anymore, it comes in a bag, but for a long time they came in boxes. So this is the not sock box. You can see the Halloween-y themed fabric for the project bag, and it came with 2 skeins of Southern DK, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. It's reading really dark on the screen. Let's see if I can get the color better. There we go. So it is a dark, moody burgundy and black, and I have 2 skeins of it, and you can see one's a little bit redder than the other. So when I make something with them, I am going to alternate skeins. And I've actually messaged her to see if she has a third one, because when I first opened the box, I thought this yarn would make a really lovely sweater for my little boy. It's soft, it's superwash. He has a much darker coloring than I do. Like, he's got dark chocolate eyes, and his hair is starting to turn a little darker, and he tans super easily. He's just darker complected than I am, and darker complected than my daughter. He leans more towards my husband's coloring. So I just thought this would make a really lovely sweater for him. And if she's unable to get me a third skein that matches, I will just find a black and do the like collar, cuffs, hem in a black DK. But it's a lovely color on its own without anything added to it. So if she is able to get me a third skein, I think I can get, he wears a size 6, but I would probably, I don't know, either make a size 6 a little bit oversized, or I would make a size 8 so that he has lots of time to wear it. And but so that was just kind of a sudden inspiration to make my son another sweater. I can hear the dogs getting up from their naps, so I may have to go let them outside. The stitch marker unfortunately came broken, but she is shipping me another one. It was a bat, but he lost his second wing, but that's okay. She is already getting me that. There is a ruler or measuring tape, which you can never have too many of, a pumpkin spice hand cream, and a chamomile tea that were all a part of this particular bag. I'm feeling like maybe I took something out of the bag and didn't put it back, but I don't remember what it was. Because usually there is a larger gift item in the deluxe bags, but maybe I'm just not remembering and I took it out. I love how soft and wonderful her yarn is. I like that these bags can just be stuffed into my backpack or my purse really easily. If you are interested in trying a Southern Skeins box, whether it is the sock box or the not sock box, I have a discount code and an affiliate link below. I do pay for all of my own boxes. I pay my own money for these. They are not sponsored or gifted. I just happen to have an affiliate link and discount code that you are welcome to use. If you click down in the show description, they will be down there on pretty much any episode that you go to. So that is my first acquisition. My second acquisition is not my fault because I didn't buy it. This was actually a gift from my mother. I won't say it's a no reason gift because she got it for me as a thank you for doing some extra things for her. But she happened to be, I don't know, somewhere in Colorado, and there was a local dyer that had this really pretty blue. And she knows that blue is my favorite color. It's been my favorite color my whole life. This particular dyer doesn't do dye lots. It's just however the skeins absorb them. The colorway is called Open Smiles. It is 100% wool. There's 200 yards of sport weight in each skein. So you can see, if you look closely, that there is a variation in color throughout these skeins. So I have 600 yards of sport weight yarn in really close but not identical color. So I am open to suggestions. I would love if I could get it into a garment because it is so squishy. So I don't know if I need to find another sport weight to add to it for color work or contrasting hem and cuffs and stuff. I thought about seeing if there was something I could add to it in order to do like a slip over or a vest. Anyway, 600 yards of sport weight. I'm looking for suggestions. It's so squishy. Definitely not something I'm going to start on before Christmas, though, because I have so many other things going. But it was just a really nice surprise, and I am loving the color. The dyer is Moonshine's Ranch, and it is from the Yampa Valley area. The website says yampavalleyfiberworks.com. And so it says Yampa Valley Fiberworks Natural Fiber Milling, Craig, Colorado. The fiber was produced by Moonshine's Ranch. The dyer must be the Yampa Valley Fiberworks. It shows you on the label who the fiber was produced by. And it's really neat. And my mom was like, not certain what I would do with it, but I was like, I absolutely can find something to do with it. It is gorgeous. My last acquisition was a bit of a splurge. Let me grab it. When Andrea Mowry's new pattern came out for the oversized, loose-sleeved throw-on cardigan, I made what may not have been the most economically sound decision and was definitely a snap decision, but I ordered the required number of skeins of Dream State to do the color work on that sweater. I need that cardigan / jacket in my wardrobe. Like, I've been looking for something throw on over anything like that for a while. I have been in very much a cardigan mode. There's definitely a few cardigans on my Make 9 for next year, and this fits so seamlessly in. I immediately threw it onto next year's Make 9 list and ordered the Dream State. I did not order the new yarn from Spin Cycle that is the main color in the body. That would have been really not an economically sound decision for me to have ordered both. So I splurged on the Dream State, and I actually chose my main color from Knit Pics and added it to my Christmas list. And so here's hoping that I get that for Christmas and I have everything I need to cast on that cardigan, because I loved knitting the Shifty, and I know that this cardigan is kind of based on that particular blip pattern. But I know I'm talking more about the pattern and not showing you my dream state. So this is 5 skeins of the same colorway. It's called Overshadow, and you can see that it is 5 very different skeins. And I included in my notes on my order that I was going to do that particular cardigan, and I would like a range of skeins from the same colorway. So if I put them in order, I think, of darkest to lightest, you can see that even though they are all from the Overshadow colorway, they're all very different skeins. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to see the full range of that colorway, because I didn't just want, dropping things, I didn't just want the light colors, and I didn't just want the dark colors. I wanted a full range of Overshadow. And I think they did a beautiful job of picking out 5 skeins that are going to work seamlessly together in the pattern, but that are going to show off the full range of purples and blues in that colorway. They're gorgeous, and I love them. And I do not regret my impulse order. That is it for acquisitions. I think. Yes, that is it. In live chat, it's just been really busy. I tried to film on Wednesday and it was a no-go because my husband stayed home all day. Decided to work from home for some reason and not go into his office, which was, kind of a pain. But I enjoy having him home sometimes when the kids are gone, so that was all right. I just didn't get to film that day, and that's okay. I have been excitedly planning a few more Christmas gifts. I think that my son could use some fingerless mitts, and so I'd like to make some of those. In fact, I think we all could use some fingerless mitts, but I'm definitely going to focus on the kids first. So my priorities are finish the Ballet Wrap cardigan, the lap blanket, and fingerless mitts for Kerrigan, and a hat for Ben. And then if I have time for anything else, I will do that. So there's my priorities. I do kind of want to try the 4-day sock challenge that would be their DK weight socks that she's done this year, the Andrea Mowry sock challenge. If I do that, I will either do them, I think, for my mom or my sister, because I think that that would be nice for them. I was actually originally thinking fingerless gloves for my sister because she walks her dog all the time, even in the winter, because they live in an apartment, or a condo, whatever. She has to walk the dog, and so I thought fingerless gloves might be good for her, and I have leftovers of the yarn that I used to make her socks last year. So I thought it might be cool to use the same yarn to do fingerless gloves. So I might do that. And then I would do the socks for my mom. And that would be her 3rd pair, if I do that, of DK weight socks. And she likes the DK weight for wearing in boots and stuff. So I don't think I've ever made her just strictly fingering weight socks. She's only had DK weight socks, so that would be fine. Or I could try and do them for my husband, but I want to revisit the DRK everyday socks that I started for him last winter that I never finished because the sizing was off. So we'll see. But I think that I do think I'll probably do the DK weight socks for my mom, because if it's over the 4 days of Thanksgiving weekend, my husband would be around the whole time to see them, whereas my mom would not necessarily. Like, we'll be over there on Thanksgiving Day, but she wouldn't be here the next morning watching me knit. Um, and I don't know if I can even get a whole pair of socks knit in a 4-day weekend because we always put our Christmas decorations up right after Thanksgiving. So, like, starting the day after or the Saturday after, it is all about Christmas, full speed ahead. All the decorations go up because I like to have the maximum amount of time to enjoy them. And I love the twinkle of the lights at night. I love it so much that actually this year we've turned on our loft Christmas tree early. Usually I wait until after Thanksgiving, but I just couldn't wait this year. Everything felt so dark after the time change that I asked my husband to turn the tree on because we never got around to taking it down last year. Yeah. So if you are a procrastinator who does not always put your holiday decorations away on time, same. In fact, last year we didn't get the loft Christmas tree taken down at all. So it's still up there on a timer, and he was able to just turn the timer on, and I was able to have pretty glowing white lights to come home to because it is so hard to get home to pitch blackness after the kids' normal evening activities. It feels like the middle of the night, even if it's only 7 o'clock. Thank you for joining me this afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're watching. I have a few more videos planned for this year besides the normal ones, and we'll just see how much time to myself I get to film. I am hoping to do a year in review where I can talk about how the things I've made have worn, how they fit, if anything has stretched out, just how the yarn has behaved in the time since I finished it and showed the finished object. I would also like to do a video about adjusting your finished objects to fit you better, like I mentioned before, adding elastic and how that can change the collar of something, even in a cardigan. So a couple more videos that I'd like to do. I will probably wait till January to do my Make 9 for 2023 and stick to my regular episodes, my year in review, and my how to alter the fit episodes for this year. So fingers crossed that I get time to record occasionally. The end of the year and the holiday season can be fairly hectic, and the kids' activities and things obviously have to come first, but I'm excited to do a few episodes that are not necessarily my normal, and let me know if there's a topic or something that you think you'd like to see an episode about, because I am always open to suggestion. I'd also love to know what you're working about, what you're working on, how you feel about gift knitting. Are you knitting gifts for the knitworthy people in your life, or are you like, nope, I want a no pressure year and I'm not doing any gift knitting at all? So I'm interested to hear what you're doing. Every once in a while I think, okay, I'm going to take a year off and I'm not going to knit any gifts. And then I see things that remind me of people, or I think, oh, they could really use that thing. And so I do it anyway. So I'm just really curious what other people are doing this year. Don't forget to sign up for the Christmas cards below if you would like a card. Doesn't have to be Christmas. There is a place to indicate if you celebrate a different winter holiday. And I absolutely want to respect whatever winter holiday you celebrate, or none at all. And you just want a little happy card in the mail, like a sunshiny, hope your day is awesome kind of card. That's okay too. So holiday joy, sign up below and let me know what you've been up to, and if there's any episodes that you're interested in, topics that you'd like addressed. I feel like a lot of people have done unpopular knitting opinions recently, so even though I think it would be fun, I'm not sure that I'll do that one anytime soon because I feel like it's been done a lot. But I'm open to suggestion on any other topics that you'd like to hear about. I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the content, please give the video a like or subscribe. It helps so much with the algorithm and being able to reach new people. Every thumbs up, every comment, every subscription, every single one helps. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.